He lay still in the dust, blood soaking into the dirt beneath his chest. His hand trembled slightly, reaching not for a weapon, but for a photograph, creased, nearly torn, of a little girl with missing front teeth and another laughing just behind her. His breathing was shallow, rattling. The sun burned overhead, and the world moved on without noticing. Except for the dog that a muddy golden retriever broke through the trailing first, barking, not in fear, but in fury. Behind him came two girls, no older than 10, their twin braids bouncing with each frantic step. Their dresses were too clean for this place. But their eyes, those wide, fearless eyes, told another story. They saw him, and they did not scream. They ran faster. One dropped to her knees beside the bleeding man. Her fingers pressed into the fabric of his uniform, soaked red and heavy. The other held his hand. She didn't say a word. She just held it. The dog circled, growling toward the empty forest as if daring the silence to move. They had no idea who he was, but they stayed. Sergeant Michael Hayes was never supposed to be in this clearing. A decorated veteran, Hayes had served 3 tours, lost his best friend to an IED in Kandahar, and came home with half a lung and a heart full of ghosts. He didn't talk much, didn't smile much either. But when he did, it was for his daughters, the twins who wore sunflower clips in their hair and never let him forget how to laugh. He'd taken them camping just once that he wasn't supposed to see movement in the trees that night. Wasn't supposed to hear the soft click of something metallic behind the bushes. And he definitely wasn't supposed to shield his daughters from a trap meant for wild animals. But that's what soldiers do. They don't think twice that he took the hit and sent the dog running back for help. But help never came fast enough. 20 minutes passed, then 30. And still the girls didn't leave. Passers-by walked the trail just yards away. Adults, strong men, joggers with earbuds. They glanced at the bleeding soldier, at the shaking girls, at the barking dog, and kept walking. Some turned away. Some took pictures. No one stopped because he wasn't in uniform, because there was no siren, no news alert, just a man dying quietly in the woods, and 2 children kneeling beside him like angels in sneakers. But then came the bark. Louder this time. A voice, far off. Then boots, multiple. Branches snapping. Radios crackling. And then they were surrounded. A dozen soldiers. Full gear. No hesitation. One of them shouted, but the girls didn't move. The dog stood guard like a 4-legged wall. The girls held on tighter. We found him. One soldier whispered into a headset. And you're not gonna believe who's with him. They airlifted Sergeant Hayes out in minutes. The medics said the girls had kept him alive. One applied pressure, the other kept him awake by talking about ice cream, cartoons, and how their mom was going to be so mad they were late. When the military traced the emergency flare the dog had triggered, a training trick Hayes had taught him, it became clear this wasn't just any family. It was his the hospital. Cameras swarmed. Reporters begged for statements. But Hayes never spoke. His daughters didn't either. But when the commanding officer asked them why they didn't leave, why they didn't wait for help, one of the twins finally looked up and said, "Because Daddy doesn't leave people behind. Ever." The room went silent. One of the medics began to cry. Later that week, during the official commendation, Hayes stood, bruised, stitched, and barely upright, as the entire base lined up in silence. Not a single word was spoken. Not a single order was given. Each soldier stepped forward, saluted the twins, then bent down to pet the dog. In that quiet moment, it wasn't rank or medals that defined greatness. It was a father's sacrifice, a child's courage, and a dog's loyalty that refused to be ignored. Real strength, the general later said, isn't about how loud you shout. It's about how long you hold on when no one's watching. Heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear sneakers and walk beside a golden retriever. If this story moved you, tell us where you're watching from. Have you ever witnessed silent courage like this? Subscribe for more real stories that honor those who hold the line, even in silence.